All right, we'll call tonight's meeting, regular school board meeting to order. Those present, Derek Johnson.
We'll stand for the pledge here.
First?
Yep.
Very good. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remove your headwear, no matter how fashionable, for the citing of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here's your script.
All right. As we get moving forward here, we have an agenda. Those in attendance tonight, and I'm chairing the board for our chair who's in absentia, Mr. Erholtz. So noted here as Directors Johnson and Wallin, Young, and Anderson. I see the agenda in front of us. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there a second, I guess I should say? Motion approved, second by Derek. Moving into number 3.
Take a vote on that?
I suppose we could take a vote. I like to move fast, okay?
All right.
All right, any discussion?
Nope.
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll get it the rest of the way here. All right, district recognitions? Any?
We do not have any tonight.
Very good. Moving on to number 4, reports and information items. Student council report. Do we have a representative of the student council here this evening?
Do we have anyone here? No.
Oh, that's... That's all right. They've been here more often than they haven't. Superintendent report. Mr. Lindholm.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I appreciate it. For our board members tonight, I have 3 items that I want to speak to. One of them we've already given innuendo to with our truth and taxation hearing. So, but the first one, and the 3 items I have, the first 2 are actually, there's some documents in your board packets. So if you're looking at an iPad or you're looking at some of the visuals, you can go ahead and look at that. I want to make note for our audience that all of our board packets, our board made a great move here about a year ago now, of putting our board packets in complete form out on our website for you to look at for all of our meetings. And that was a great step towards more transparency, where you can see month by month what our board is taking action on. In packets tonight on page, I believe it's 3 and 4, is for our board members a dashboard report regarding our strategic plan and our progress as we implement. And after the first page, which is just a 1-page dashboard, there's detailed information that gives you an update on each specific strand and how we're progressing. The November dipstick, which is what this is, just a dip into our progress. This was the first time our school and district leadership teams worked through that. It's actually a very simple protocol to assess our progress. And as should be expected, the process of asking how we're doing raised a lot of questions. I think it's fair to say it created a bit of angst for some people. And it also gave us good reason in many areas to have celebration and to give each other a pat on the back and say, you know, good work. As Director Anderson has commented a couple of times in the past, the real merit in a protocol like this is less in giving you a document and more in driving those conversations at all levels of the organization with folks so that they can celebrate and be clear about where we're going. If you take a look at the document, you'll see in the detailed section on the 2nd and 3rd pages, there's some yellow boxes that as a board member you might question and say, well, why are we not moving so fast there? They're really in the areas of digital curriculum development and in defining and moving forward with personalized learning. I view those yellow boxes as a positive sign that we're actually getting into the meat of this, the meat of implementation, and that plan was only approved a year and a half ago. So what this is a sign of is that we're now getting into that very predictable implementation dip that happens anytime you step into a plan calling for significant change in our day-to-day work. Our teacher leaders, our BLT members and our curriculum leads, they're diving into deep, difficult, meaningful conversations around questions like, what do we actually mean by the term personalized learning? And if I was to go see that, what would that look like? What does authentic integration of technology look like in a classroom? And how is that different in a second grade classroom versus, say, a high school classroom? I think if I were to poll staff, there's a better sense of that at the secondary level. We're just starting that conversation at the elementary level. Another question might be, well, why should I use Moodle if I teach choir or construction or Phi-Ed? What does technology integration look like in those disciplines? And maybe the most difficult conversation that we're starting to step into, that we have to step into, is what is a grade? That sounds like a really simple question, but in academia, that's a much debated topic. How do we move away from what I sometimes call a currency-based grading system, meaning you get points for doing this, kind of like you get quarters for doing this or money for doing this, a currency-based system, to one that actually embraces that it's about communicating what a student's able to demonstrate in terms of mastery aligned to a standard. How does that look, and how does it connect to personalized learning? Those are some of the questions our teacher leaders are getting into, and that's why some of these boxes are yellow. What you see here is our teacher leaders saying, hold on, because now I'm tripping on questions that are really big, and we're going to need to have a lot of good dialogue and rigorous debate around how we answer those questions. So unlike this fall, where this was kind of a renewal document from last year, I expect next fall, when this document comes back to you for its annual renewal process, I fully expect there to be some changes in timelines and in how we're nuancing things. Just had a great conversation the other day with the elementary team about, what does it look like to use Moodle at the elementary level? Well, it's going to look very different than it would for our high school kids that are running around with devices all the time. So it's a good conversation, and it's good for them to take time to do that. Something else I'm excited about, Principal Rankin, since he's here, I'll mention him. He's leading a team that's diving into the question of, well, what does a personalized learning plan look like, and how does it compare to, say, a digital resume or some kind of evidence of student learning that a student takes with them. And that team is actually going to do a field trip in mid-September to a couple of school districts down in the cities that some of our team, when they went to the TIES conference, they heard from them and said, oh, we need to go see that to get us a better visual sense of what personalized learning is looking like in other districts. So there's some good work happening. We're really in that inquiry process. It's exciting. I think as a board, we need to constantly be asking ourselves the question, how fast can we get this done? And we want to make sure that we take the time to lay the right foundations. So overall, I think if you looked at the one-page dashboard in the front, you'd see the vast majority of this is green. That's a lot to celebrate. We're doing well. There's a lot of things moving on track. You've put resources in the right places to move this forward. I have no real concerns. Like I said, I'm celebrating the authenticity with which we're looking at some of this stuff. So that's it on the World's Best Workforce Plan, or the digital, the dashboard update on our strategic plan. I do have 2 more items, but if there are questions to this part of my report, now would be a good time for me to field them, Mr. Chair.
Anybody? Val?
I have one question. Did I hear you say September, that the team will be going to?
January, sorry if I
Okay.
misspoke.
No, maybe I misheard, but I was like, September as in next year?
Yeah, January.
Okay, January. And then what is the hoped for outcome or impact that those field trips will have?
Good, thank you for that. What they're really going to look at is a school that already is further than us in implementing personalized learning. So it's Farmington High School, and then another one that I hope they can have a chance to look at is the zoo school, the high school that's on the property of the Minnesota Zoo, because that school is based on a project-based learning platform. So if you're Chip Rankin and you're a high school principal, I mean, you want to get to the logistics of, like, how do you schedule classes? How do you move staff around from assignment to assignment? Because that's how principals think. How do I run the school operationally? And so our hope in terms of an expected outcome is that they walk away with some nuts and bolts, tangible, oh, this is how we can implement some of that.
Right. Good. Sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, anybody else? One quick question, you took the words right out of my mouth, thank you. Farmington.
Mm-hmm.
So is there some exchange of any kind of communications prior, so we have a sense of what we're going into, or how they're, or just gonna head down there and just take a look?
Yeah, our team will set up, obviously very purposeful, why they're going in.
Sure.
And Chip will be talking to them, and Ben Johnston, and
Good.
Kevin mapping out the key players they need to see.
Super.
Yep, yep.
All right.
It's exciting.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Lindholm. Excellent report. Now
Yep,
on to your
I-
next more.
Yeah,
Yep.
two more, and these are quicker. Also in your board packets, if you went past the dashboard, you're gonna see the two slides that Ms. Mack showed regarding funding from the state over the last 15 years, and how districts across the state have had to use property tax levies in order to close that gap. I put those slides in the board packet, so for our students, you can access that on the website. That is absolutely critical as we step into a legislative session, and as it was mentioned in our Truth and Taxation meeting, that we're walking into a session with a legislature that has a surplus. And so, some key things for people who are passionate about education and the education of our children, some key things to advocate for if you're a student in Pequot Lakes, or you're a homeowner or a parent in Pequot Lakes. I'm going to give you just a few bullet points. One simple one might be restore the general education formula allowance back to what it was in 2003, when adjusted for inflation. That alone would bring in another $1 million every year to our annual budget for Pequot Lakes. So restore it back to the levels it was in 2003. A second bullet for really tight to Pequot Lakes and our needs is increase the equalization of local optional revenues in districts with a high percentage of seasonal and recreational properties. So local optional revenue is not equalized in Tier 2 and 3 for Pequot Lakes, and it's just because of the high number of cabins we have. So an advocacy point would be equalize all of LOR, local optional revenue, for districts with a high percentage of cabins. And my other two bullets that I'm going to be advocating for is to provide a funding mechanism for our concurrent enrollment teachers, or for our high school students, our college and the schools teachers, to get credentialed to teach their courses in the years ahead. That's a key one. We need the state to help fund some of that. And then a fourth would be, I believe that the legislature is going to be battling quite a bit about early childhood education this go-around. And my advocacy point is going to be, if we're going to do that, let's do it simple and just put early childhood on the per pupil formula so that it's funded like all the other grade levels, versus what we have now, a system of 4 and 5 different revenue streams that all add up to early childhood that make it very confusing for our parents and our staff and our community. So those are my big four. Note they're all around funding. It's about how do we resource what people expect. Our legislators need to hear from all of us. And now my third point for tonight, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Vice Chair, is I'm happy to announce that our letters to parents of current 6th and 9th graders regarding, they were dropped in the mail today, regarding the plan that was approved last month to provide an affordable means for students to gain access to more technology. All of the information about the program is now live on our district website. And so for students that maybe have been hearing some things, that's about 6th graders and 9th graders getting access to the ability to buy a Chromebook to use in school, and to have it be their Chromebook that they own. There are 2 optional informational meetings scheduled for January 18 and 25. They're both in the evening. However, I'll tell you that there won't be any new information at those meetings. All of the information is truly on that website. And you can get to that, it's called PLEAT, PLEAT. Go to the news and media menu on our district website, and you'll get right to it. On the backbone side of our technology system, board members and staff should be aware that on December 28th, we are installing a new firewall system, and that will not only improve some of our filtering, but most importantly, it will significantly augment our bandwidth in the district. Along with that, we are adding 8 to 10 new wireless access points, most of them in the middle level, where we're having some connectivity issues, and we're beefing up in expectation for more devices being on campus. I want to thank Kevin First, our CTCIT team, and the team at Best Buy for working so hard to roll out what I would argue is a crucial component of our strategic plan as we work towards personalizing learning for every student. So thank you to those folks thank you to the board for approving that. Letters got in the mail today, and so game on. Away we go. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Any questions, comments? Valerie?
I had one. Now I don't remember what it was because I went to the fleet. I apologize. Oh, I know what it was. For advocating with our legislature.
Yeah.
Could you send us those 4 bullet points in an email or put them somewhere where we can access them as we're
Yep.
talking to, I think some of us are familiar with 1 or 2.
Yep.
But if we're all advocating for all 4, maybe we would have a better chance at accomplishing all 4.
I'd be happy to. We'll get it on Wednesday. Yep.
Anybody else? Mr. Superintendent, I would pick up on what Valerie's saying and also ask if there's an opportunity to promote the advocacy on our website in some capacity, either in news, media, blog, something that when we get questions or follow-up questions from constituents, we can direct them directly to our website and kind of advocate from that platform back to our legislators in whatever capacity would make sense.
Yeah, I think something for the board not to take action on tonight, but just
Yeah.
to consider, might be, that's a little bit of an awkward position in terms of just creating a political platform as a superintendent. But there are many boards that take action and approve a platform for advocacy. And I'd be happy to help kind of wordsmith that if that's something you're interested in. Once it was board approved, then that, I wouldn't have any qualms about saying 2016, school board platform.
Well, you can probably poll all of us and see what you get from there. Is that the best way to go?
I'm getting a thumbs up there and a nod there and a nod there, so I'm,
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I should
Fair
do
enough.
that. I'd be
Okay.
happy to do that.
Well, you get what I was trying to, I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I don't want to put you in a
Yep.
politically
Well,
challenging spot.
it works when it's a publicly elected body creating a public
Right.
advocacy platform. It makes sense.
Right.
So,
Very good.
yep.
All right, well, thank you for the reports. We'll move on now to the consent agenda, and as all we have understand the consent agenda, we have board action. There are items listed are considered to be routine and can be acted on by one motion with no separate discussion. However, in the event that a board member wishes to discuss an item or remove an item, that can be done at this time. Is everybody familiar with the consent agenda, and does anybody want to do anything in relation to the items that are in the consent agenda? Nope. All right. So, I need a motion to approve.
The consent agenda is written.
So moved. Do I hear a second? Second by Val? No, do we?
All in favor.
Yeah, we take a vote. Everybody in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I got the discussion part of that turned around. We have discussion after we have a motion, right. Okay, so now, we move into number 6, our action items. The certification of the final 2015 payable 2016 levy. I don't have a number here in my, so, the levy is proposed for certification is $5,578,346.19. This is the recommendation from administration to approve this levy amount. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Brandon is a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Derek, yep.
Derek Johnson. Director Johnson, second. Is there any discussion before we vote on the matter?
That's for the 724, the levy we were just discussing.
Yes, that's the
Okay, so this would be the
625.
625 out of the
Yes.
possible 724.
Yep,
Right, it's what we had discussed and approved earlier.
yep.
Okay,
My apologies for not explaining that better, rather than just give you a number.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's
I
the
was
6.
trying to get to that page here in my board packet.
And
I can
you have the
look at it
slides in front
myself.
of you from Truth and Taxation that show that is the 625 and all the revenue tied to that with final numbers. Trying to find the page. There we go.
have all of the budget stuff, the expenses.
Yeah, this slide on
There
your,
we go. Let me double check with your number. 5578346. Yes.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Any more comments? Mr. Johnson?
I have a different packet. Slip packet's in the middle. Right there.
Yeah, this one
Thank
doesn't have
you.
19th. Yeah?
Yep.
Very good. Any other discussion on this matter? Mr. Johnson, are you still considering? No. No, further discussion. All right. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Second, the recommendation to approve advertising on banners for the baseball fundraiser. Do we have any information in our packet on this?
Yeah, page 98 in your packet gives you a summary of what the request is. And so the motion is to essentially, we approve fundraisers all the time, but when the fundraiser requires, or it has a component of advertising, advertising requires board approval. So that's why I brought this to the board. And in your packet on page 98, you can see kind of a rundown of what the advertising would entail. The parameters around this, this is a baseball team program. So the baseball program is going to, would like to be able to sell the ability for businesses to produce a banner and hang it on the outfield fences. Banners are 3.5 feet by 7 feet. They're vinyl. They're made out of our graphics department here at the high school. The company provides their own logo. They will pay $275 per banner per season. So it's kind of a one-season rolling fundraiser. And they would obviously need to be approved by the activities director or myself before being printed so that we approve the logo and the graphics. So one season, and the program will care for it. So the motion, I guess if you wanted to discuss a motion, would be to approve the advertising request as presented. And note that that is a kind of an ongoing one. While I'll approve annually the fundraiser component of it, I wouldn't expect to have to come back every single year to the board to ask for the same advertising request. We would kind of just do that as an indefinite thing, if you're comfortable with that. Or you could modify the motion and put a timeline on it. Either would be fine.
So do we have a motion before us?
Not yet. I would ask for a motion.
I'd move the proposed motion Superintendent Lindholm just made, that we approve the recommendation as presented.
Moved by Valerie, second by Brandon. Is there any further discussion?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Have we, I'm sure you have, I'm not implying you haven't, but have we thought about, in the event our graphics department doesn't continue to have the capacity to produce the banners, do we have an alternate plan?
At that time, it would be just not doable,
Okay,
and it would stop.
okay.
Yeah. Or they would have to change their mechanism for making money, because if they had to go somewhere else, they'd have to pay,
Right,
and it would change the amount of money they would get in, and so we would probably have to change up the fundraiser model.
right, okay.
Any further discussion?
I don't think so. I think my other question was about how long the banners would hang, and you answered that already.
Yep.
Susan? Well, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Finally, we have donations under 6C, and we are going to read those donations. Do I have to take a motion first, or should I?
You can read them and then ask for a
Okay.
motion.
All right. Quickly, $2,500 anonymous to the Social Worker Family Help Account, $400 Ideal Fire Relief Association homecoming expenses, $400 Abby Mum Dance Program, a student, $520 Patriot Athletic Club Boys Basketball Program, $1,000 Patriot Athletic Club Baseball Uniforms and Windscreens, $1,100 Patriot Athletic Club Football Uniforms, $750, Patriot Athletic Club Dance Uniforms, $250, Patriot Athletic Club Mock Trial, $250 Patriot Athletic Club Speech Program, $50 Catherine Ebnett Middle School and High School Music Department. $100, Mary Beth Ebnett, Middle School and High School Music Department. $100, Larry Miswine for GLAPA. Webcam and software by C.J. Anderson to GLAPA. Windows 10 operating system, Heathcliff Anderson to GLAPA. Costumes, clothing, Michael Johnson to GLAPA. A Dell laptop computer by Landis and Gear. Beauty and the Beast production, and a laptop computer donated by John and Meredith Yorquist, Beauty and the Beast production. Again, a plethora of significant donations made by those. Do we have a motion to accept the donations? Do we have a second?
Second.
Those in favor, or any discussion? Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Announcement and meeting dates.
Yeah, I can run through those. Our next meeting dates, we have a negotiations team meeting for those 3 board members, Monday, January 4th at 4 p.m. And then note that our regular board meeting in January is January 11th. That's the second Monday of the month, and that's because of the holiday on the third Monday of the month. So that will be our annual organizational board meeting on January 11th. And then the dates in your packets following have not been approved yet, so they're tentative. Those dates are January 25th, 5 p.m., a board retreat, February 8th, 6 p.m., a regular board meeting, and then a March regular board meeting, March 7th. Note that January, February, and March, all 3 months, our regular meeting is the second Monday of the month due to holidays and spring break. So, any other announcements?
No, sir, I believe that you've hit that, unless anybody has anything else to contribute. That brings us through the agenda, and do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Brandon, second by Valerie. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
At 7:21.